Hello everybody! How's everyone doing?
How's it going, guys? I'm good, man. I'm good.
I'm so excited. So this is Ryan. I'm really fascinated that you just said you were a civil engineer.
Yeah, so I was a civil engineer for 5 years before I decided to study naturopathy, which is what I'm studying now, and working as a wellness coach.
Yeah, what inspired you to be a wellness coach, especially a wellness coach that encourages intuition and is really mainly focused on helping women? Like, how did that come about?
Well, as we were talking before, it's all started in India, realistically. That's what sort of sent me on learning more about like the intuitive side of things. So I became like a Reiki practitioner, and before that I'd studied like a few courses in like plant-based nutrition, but now I'm studying naturopathy. And I guess I focus on women because, and the intuitive eating side of things, strictly because there's like a lot of nonsense out there when it comes to the health and well-being industry, and like focusing on numbers, only focusing on weight loss, where
it's like, are we robots?
100%. People justify their day just by numbers, realistically.
Yeah.
All right, a number on a scale, how much food
honestly,
you eat, how much
it's really
steps.
Awesome to hear you say this, just because honestly this morning, like for the first time in a long time, I weighed myself and it's like the heaviest I've ever been, but I'm like the strongest I've ever been.
For sure.
So I think it's really crazy how people really do, like I used to base my self-worth on that number, and now I look at it and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like it's crazy to be on the other side and be like, wow, like it really truly is our perspective. It's not like the number has to define us.
100%.
But I digress. Continue your
cool.
story.
But like it adds to it as well, because I was a boxer for many years, so I literally justified how hard I was working by how low I could get my weight. Right? And that led to a lot of restrictive eating, and that actually led to a lot of binge eating.
Wow, yeah.
So
that's really cool to hear. Like I feel like, at least, I don't know, for some reason I have a belief that men don't deal with this.
Oh, definitely.
So it's cool to hear, like, yeah, boxing, like there's different sports where like guys will value their worth and whatnot on the numbers as well.
100%. And it wasn't until I actually started coaching people and working with people and working as a boxing coach and starting to train with people that I realized that what I was doing when I was working as when I was training as a boxer was like binge eating, was restrictive eating, and it had a real massive effect on my mental health as well, because I would eat nothing, train like hard, and it actually led to me getting concussed, because one day I was so fatigued that I got knocked out, and then I had a concussion for like 4 months.
Damn. And you're saying that's because you're fatigued? I don't want to give you a hard time and be like, oh, that's why.
It's because I was fatigued and I got punched in the head. Right, there's a combination of things. But the only reason I know that is because I was working with people for that, and I was starting to like piece things together. And even while I was working as that, I was restricting myself to a point where I was trying to get so low on my weight that when I would train, I would be sweating out like I would had no body fat left, so I was literally sweating out muscle.
Weird.
And it was like thick and disgusting, and it got to a point where
I've never heard of that. That's crazy.
Yeah. I researched, and that's you're just sweating out muscle because your body fat is so low.
Whoa, that's crazy.
And so now I sit 14 kgs heavier than what I used to fight at.
Wow. So, okay, connect the dots here. So you were a boxer, so you dealt with this like idea of, okay, this isn't working for me as far as basing my worth on these numbers here.
For sure. And then it all like connected together, I suppose, and started looking into more of the intuitive side of things, not so focusing so much on weight, looking more of the psychology behind eating, through focusing on some work by a guy named Mark David. He runs an institute for the Institute of Psychology of Eating. Oh, cool. And he has some really powerful concepts where there is actually power in slowing down. So instead of being so focused on your weight, so focused on a number, a scale, how many walking you're doing every day, you just focus on how food makes you feel. All right, like your own happiness, what you actually see in a mirror, not what you see on a scale. So like slowing down, appreciating food more, connecting with your breath more, and yeah, more just connecting with yourself.
I love everything you're saying. I'm cringing because the birds are taking the audio.
Just like my house, it's all good.
Okay, yeah, the birds are nice. But okay, I love everything you're saying, but it scares me. As a dietitian, you know, we're trained, we want to be able to track people's progress. We want to be able to make people feel like they, you know, are set up with a plan that works.
For sure.
And like, it scares a lot of people who have just especially backgrounds of dieting and really do not trust themselves at all with food.
Yep.
How do you deal with that? Like, how did you...
So, I guess there's a lot of information out there with intuitive eating. There's obviously the people that, the two lovely dietitian ladies, their name slips my mind, who have the process to it and everything like that. And I've just researched a lot and worked with a lot of different clients now that I've sort of come up with something that works. So, like, because we want them to be healthy as well and not just intuitively eat whatever.
Right.
I put them through like a phase of learning what actual nutrition is, teaching them about the basics, what foods that they should be having each day. For sure.
Guidance.
Yeah, guidance and support, right? Because that's because they just don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And so I put them through like a process of learning, like, it's like mechanistic eating, where you tell them what to eat for a certain period just so they can start to learn and see what it feels like and see.
So you do give them meal plans?
I start them off with a meal plan, and then like, depending on the person and their own like issues or their own ability to adopt it, then like phase them into a more intuitive way of eating.
Okay. And in order to track them on that, so based on like this guy that you heard about, you were like, wow, this is cool, and then you started incorporating that into your practice. I'm still confused, like a little bit connecting the dots there, but we'll continue on with this.
Okay, that's cool.
How
do I track progress?
Yeah, like I love using, I have a nutrient analysis account so that I make sure like, okay, they're definitely getting enough omegas. I'm like, oh damn, you're not getting enough zinc. Like, I really like making sure that my clients are getting in enough nutrients, but
For sure.
I do understand also that there's ups and downs to that, like people's
Definitely.
mindset around it. Some people look at it and they're like, oh, this is awesome, I love this so much, it's so fun.
Yeah.
Some people are like, wow, this is so annoying, like I don't want to have to obsess about this. Like,
100%. 100%. So I suppose it can be obsessive, and your body literally, like, your body knows what it needs, right? When you learn to listen to what it's saying. So it does take a lot of slowing down, and it does take a lot of trust
A lot of
in
trust.
your own self. So there is a process to it.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what to eat, it can be really hard. And if you don't know how to trust yourself, or the thought of trusting yourself is overwhelming, which it is, then you work with someone who can guide you through the process, help you listen and learn to the cues so that you don't go down the wrong path, and it leads to a path of, instead of you listening to your intuition, you can just stop eating. All right, because maybe that's what your intuition tells you, because you think to not eat is to lose weight. Okay?
Wait, say that again?
If, like, because you're so controlled by what everyone else, like, you know, health and well-being.
You want to eat less.
You want to eat less because you think you're going to lose more.
Yeah.
But then, you know, what happens if you don't eat enough, right? So adaptation, and you just
you'll just
storing
binge.
fat and binge and start eating the wrong stuff instead of the right stuff.
Yeah. God. Yeah, you're bringing me back. Like, I'm so grateful for how much trust I have with my eating at this point in my life, but I definitely know what it's like to really sit down after a meal and be like, I should feel full right now.
For sure.
Like, why, like, there's something wrong with me. I'm just gonna like try and, you know, not feel hungry anymore.
Yeah.
And like, it's like we try to trick our bodies. We're like, this is the right portion size. I shouldn't eat anymore.
Exactly, but your body knows, right? And some days you'll eat. Some days
I ate a lot.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, and you've got to break that concept of always eating the same amount of calories every single day, because of depending on what you're doing, depending on your day, your stress level. Some days you'll eat a lot. The next day you eat a little. Some days you might eat a lot. The next day you eat a little. But if you look at it over like a week, everything averages out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, once I started to trust myself, I thought that I would never stop eating.
Yeah, that's it. Because you're like, I've got for the freedom. But when you have, it's a really interesting concept, because when you have the freedom to eat, you choose to make better decisions.
Truly trust, though, like the true freedom, like not
not just
like, oh, you know, I'm gonna have this dessert because, like, I don't know, I used to do that to myself, where I'd be like, oh, I love myself, I'm gonna have a muffin, like, just to prove to myself. When in reality it wasn't like intuitive, you know what I mean? It wasn't like it wasn't
really listening to your intuition, because you know it's gonna make you feel rubbish afterwards.
Right.
All right, and what I've found is when you get rid of labels, when you take the pressure off yourself to just lose weight, focus on wellness, and if you lose weight, then that's a bonus.
Yeah.
All right, and you just learn to focus more on how the food's going to make you feel afterwards. Focus more on like that self-love aspect, because I feel like the way you eat, the way you move, and the way you manage your stress are like 3 of the key aspects of self-love. Because if you're feeding yourself rubbish, you're going to feel rubbish. You're going to look rubbish. Alright, and if you're thinking that you are rubbish, then all those things are going to happen as well.
Yeah.
But if you're coming from a place of self-love where you like build that connection with yourself, that practice, that self-love practice, because it's not an easy thing to do as well, you've got to do it every single day.
Right.
Then you start to do other things that are more beneficial to you than eating a hamburger from McDonald's.
Yeah.
You choose a healthier option.
Right. Totally. Wow, I guess something that's coming up for me is this idea around like people's lifestyles. Like I get overwhelmed. Like there's some times where I have deadlines or I have a lot of stuff going on, and then it's like my intuition kind of goes down the toilet, and it's really nice to have some tracker to be like, oh wow, like I don't know, in times where I feel like I didn't get enough sleep and I just am emotional or whatever, like how do you recommend people around that?
Well, it's hard because everyone's got different needs, right? And everyone handles stress and everyone handles those hard times differently. Some people will lean towards food, and some people will just not eat, or some people will find a balance in between. But if you're stressed out, just like there's power in slowing down and trying to stop what you're doing, all right? Focusing on your breath and calming down a little bit. Doesn't mean it's always going to take away the stress. Like there's some days when I'm stressed out all day if I've got a lot on my plate.
Right.
Alright, like before I came to this trip, like I had to do all these client check-ins, I had so much going on, and then I got to the airport and stopped, and I was like, fuck, now I can finally breathe. But that's always gonna, you've got to realize that there's so many external factors in life that's always going to happen.
Right.
And on those days when it does happen, you just wake up the next day, flush it, and move on.
Interesting. Yeah, a practice that I have with my clients is like, if they do have emotional ties to food, like I know I have a client right now who like cheese fries after work needed, you know what I mean? Like something to help, just like, like that exhale you're talking about. And what's been really helping her is just having a list of at least 10 things that she knows will help her feel relieved and just like nourished, and practice self-care that doesn't involve food.
Awesome. Like
people really associate stress with weight gain, at least it seems to me, unless they're like really stressed like you said and they're not eating at all. But it's not true that stress puts food in your mouth. Like there's, especially like in working with me, I think it's such a blessing that people get to learn how to handle stress in a more productive, empowering way. Like people don't, I really want everybody.
What do you do to make them handle stress or help them?
Well, they have to come up with it. They have to come up with the idea that they're excited about. But like, and I make it clear to them, like everything that I teach is really around a vision. And I say to them, like, is the vision of you that you want to be, like how do they respond to stress? And like I have them visualize that, because if really, like there's got to be somebody in our lives, whether it be a social media influencer or a relative or somebody, even a waitress at a restaurant, like who has a lot on their plate but they're like, okay, cool, got it, you know what I mean? Like that vision of like what that looks like, where these people are able to just take it on and react in a better way. But
yeah, the idea of non-reactiveness.
Yeah, but still there can be a reaction. And like I know my clients, they come up with things like taking a bath, doing their nails, like the practice of self-care, like turning up the volume so much to self-care, like doing a face mask or like reading a raunchy magazine, like whatever it is that helps them just like feel pampered and they're being taken care of, versus like I feel like it's like a, you know, it's like a scale. It's like you can either self-sabotage and totally like hate yourself more and feel more stressed, or you could like tip the scale the other way, and when you're stressed you could really pamper yourself
and just focus more on that, and then just let the stress melt away.
Yeah, like the more you really like even take a long hot shower, like I don't know, something like that,
or a real short cold one.
Or a short cold one, or a long cold one.
Or a long cold one, depending on the stress.
But and this doesn't just have to do with like the daily stressors, even if there's like a death in the family or a breakup, or like during these times, like I know when I've gone through hard times, all I want to do is like eat ice cream and like whatever.
For sure.
But in reality, if we're going through a breakup, the best thing to do is to eat a salad and go for a run.
Exactly.
And take care of yourself.
It's like face off, don't avoid. Alright, actually face off with what your stress is. Ask yourself, okay, why am I stressed? Is it gonna benefit me still being stressed? Is there something more productive that I can do instead of avoiding it?
Yeah.
There's power in sort of sitting with it and like dealing with it, journaling it, talking to someone about it, even just talking to yourself about it instead of just trying to run away, because it's always going to chase you. In the long run, it's always going to come back and bite you.
Yeah, what you resist persists. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's true. If we like try to avoid things, so it's true. It's important to process it, but I think everybody processes in different ways. So I like for them to come up with it.
I like that. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. And still though, I still like to have people track. But of course, my practice is individualized. Like,
for sure.
I do have some clients that are like, F that, no. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, you don't have to track to lose weight or to get healthy by any means. And with some clients, I don't even focus on weight loss at all. But a lot of clients, like, that's really what they want.
Exactly.
And, you know,
and they're probably going to get it, right? Is if you go from eating really poorly to learning how to eat healthier and like in a calorie deficit. Like if you eat healthier, more than likely on most days you'll probably be eating in a calorie deficit, because no one's gonna overeat on carrot. Right. I mean, I guess it actually is possible. I've had clients who so yeah, this is interesting that you brought that up, because I've had clients who really, they're addicted to food and they'll overeat on beans and I suppose definitely
they'll like really overeat on that stuff. And it's really I think it's really awesome to like set them up with a meal plan, but still like some people have it, this is an interesting thing where I think it's important to track their progress and to track their weight at least, so that if they notice that they're really not improving their stamina or they're not improving their energy and they're just like, you know, they still are eating healthier.
For sure.
That's happened with a couple of my clients. And
and it can be hard, right? But when you drop the weight, it takes away that pressure. Alright, so your body's naturally going to sit it away. Alright, you can get around that by being in a calorie deficit for sure. And I guess when it comes to intuitive eating, it's more, I like focus on wellness and let weight loss happen naturally. Depending on what weight loss that's going to be, it might be more for some people than others, right?
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a skewed vision of what people should look like. Because a lot of my clients, I'm like, okay, where do you want to, like, where do you envision yourself? Who's someone that inspires you? And they show me photos of people that's probably unrealistic, so you have to have that discussion with them. Hey, realistically, the way that person is, she's probably, even though she looks good, she may not be really healthy. Her hormones could be all up the wazoo. She might not have had a period in months. And you don't really know what's going on internally. Alright, if you just focus on the physical, then you're going to miss out that connection with yourself, because you're constantly putting that pressure on yourself to look a certain way instead of loving who you are now. Because if you get to that place where you're a certain weight and you haven't learned how to love yourself now, who's to say you're going to love that person as well? Yeah,
that's true. Exactly. Yeah, the mindset around it is super important with self-love. And that actually, sorry, as you were speaking, I was just honestly thinking in my head about my client. I love how you, like, I as well, it's so important to have the mindset and the stress levels, because I'm now realizing that the clients in the past who were really struggling with you know, their success, it didn't necessarily have to do with like the unrealistic goals, because they did have a lot of weight to lose. Like it was like really scary.
Exactly. Some people have the weight that they need to lose just to be healthy.
For like their heart health and stuff.
Exactly.
But that for them, it was really more to do with stress and not trusting themselves. And they were like really struggling with that and struggling to eat enough like healthy fats, even because they were afraid of fat.
So I have something called rewriting your nutritional script. Alright, we all have this internal dialogue inside our head. We all have those things that we tell ourselves are good or bad. So rewriting your nutritional script, we all have those false truths realistically, to say one, salt's going to give us high blood pressure, fat's going to make us fat, carbs are going to make me fat, I'm not going to look good until I weigh a certain amount. I call it nutritional script, and then I put a lot of my clients through the process of rewriting them. So instead of saying carbs are bad for me, rewriting it in a way where it's actually true and more positive. Right, and that works. That's a lot in the psychology of eating, because it works on the idea of the placebo effect. All right, if you say something's true, it's more than likely going to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. The placebo effect is real, and this is just kind of like, I love talking about limiting beliefs. That's basically what you're saying, but with nutrition.
Definitely.
So it could even be a limiting belief that, like, yeah, like anything, like a cookie makes you fat or whatever, like is that really the truth?
No, not at all.
And that could be something to do with yourself, like I'm not good enough, like is that really the truth? Like rewriting all of those scripts.
Yeah, and yeah, so nutritional body scripts, that's what it is. It's normally the first thing, because then it gives you out of here. They're like, we're on them, we're circling them now. Quick, go!
I'm dead. Yeah, the audio is great. Okay,
we could redo that whole bit on nutritional scripts.
No, it's fine. You got rid of them. Thank you.
Get out of here! Scat!
Yeah, hilarious.
Motherfuckers.
Okay, I hope everyone's getting something out of this. Like, just let's bring it on in, like rewriting your nutritional scripts. Everybody do that, like write down things that you think to be true about your nutrition, and is that belief serving you or not? Is it the truth, or are you just creating a story around it that isn't real?
I've got a handout for it, so I could send it to you, and
cool.
You can give it to some people if they reach out for
That's
it.
awesome. How dope is that? Very cool.
And yeah, so it all just, like, I don't know, yeah, I've found some really good success with it, because sometimes in weight loss, the pressure we need to lose is the weight we need to lose is the pressure that we put on ourselves to lose weight. Alright, because when we focus on the numbers, when we focus on everything, we're actually missing out. What is most important is that most people just want to be happy. It doesn't really matter about the weight loss.
Yeah,
That's just an arbitrary thing that people see as a way to measure and justify.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I actually wanted to circle back a while ago when I said that, okay, like people come to me because they want to lose weight, and so I like want to give them something to help them lose weight. But in my practice, I really hone in from the very beginning. Like on the first call, I say, hey, I only work with people who are willing to be committed to a bigger problem. Perfect. And that bigger problem is definitely not your weight. It's definitely, you know, how you impact, how you show up in your life, like how you feel every day, like how people, are you being a good role model for people? Are you able to, you know, be focused and energetic at work, like whatever it is that they want to do.
Yeah.
And of course the bigger problem of like global warming and deforestation,
100%.
all of that jazz is also a big problem that I expect.
We didn't even touch on the vegan aspect, right?
Oh
but
yeah, we're both vegan.
That's another video
crazy.
as well.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Well, I feel like I only hang out with vegans. So it's like, no.
I was gonna say something else, but I bit my tongue.
Say it. Okay, well, no, say it. Whatever. All right. Well, I guess one last thing. This has been going on way longer than I anticipated, but I don't think that juicing is a good idea.
Okay.
For the most part.
Yep.
For my clientele.
Yep.
Because I think that it exacerbates a binge
eating problem.
Yeah, yeah,
sure.
a binge restrict cycle. However, obviously there's a lot of research around it being very beneficial, and I think that there still are wonderful circumstances where it can be utilized.
For sure.
With my clientele, as far as like young vegan women go that are trying to trust themselves around food.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the best idea. I think it's better to have balanced meals.
100%, and like I don't recommend it to my clients either. Sometimes some of the stuff that I do I wouldn't recommend to people unless I knew the true that they had that trust already in themselves and aren't doing it for the purpose of weight loss. Right. Right, seeing it as a therapy. Yeah. Right, a therapeutic action that you want to get outside of the body, which may increase detoxification pathways. Yes. Or where you're focusing on detoxifying the liver for just a short period of time, where you're not focused on weight loss. So if you have any issues with binge eating, restrictive eating, or anything along those lines, or if you're just doing it or detox programs to lose weight, yeah, I would never recommend that, because realistically it's always just going to come back. One, because you never learned anything from it. True. All right, and
the mindset is still like you're thinking you're not good enough, you're thinking you're trying to fix yourself. It's all about like how you see it. Well,
that's what they reckon, right? So any diet program, long term, 90% of all diets after a 2 to 3 year period don't work.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true.
So if you
Harvard
don't
study,
learn- yeah.
98% of dieters gain the weight
98%,
back within
yeah.
5 years. Yeah,
So
it's
if
insane.
you're just focusing on weight loss, realistically it's not going to last
Right.
long, and you're going to be stuck in the cycle for a very, very long time. If
Right.
you focus on wellness and just let yourself sit comfortably and be happy with who you truly are, then that's something that you've got for the rest of your life, because you've learned how to nourish your body
Yeah,
properly.
yeah. So when it comes to, juicing or whatever it is, even if it is tracking, like tracking your calories,
Yeah.
like it depends on the person doing the thing and what they're focusing on around it. Is it creating like, oh, I hate myself so I need to do this?
Yeah,
or is
yeah,
it like,
definitely.
oh, I love myself so much I'm excited to do this?
Yeah,
Like, it's kind of
exactly.
like
It's
that.
like, oh cool, I'm just going to do this just to give my digestion a break for a day, alright, because I've been eating a lot.
Because I feel like dead.
Yeah,
And you want to
Just 'cause,
like really like that, and that's hard to diagnose, as a coach. Like it's like they'll say that they're doing it because they are excited about it and they
Yeah,
really need to,
yeah.
but in reality they're like, I really want to lose quick 5 pounds.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And you're just like, no.
No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
It'll- It'll just bounce back.
What was I gonna ask you? Okay, so what's your number one tip to help these people trust themselves with food?
It is a process, yeah, and you could try do it yourself, but you're always better to do it work with someone, all
with
right?
accountability.
Yeah, and have that accountability, because there is a process to it.
That's a great answer. You should hire both of us.
yeah, do it. Katie's really good. Ryan's really good as well, and he's got a really
No.
nice accent.
No, but for real.
Okay,
I'm
so
like, yeah.
for real, if you want to start learning more about intuitive eating, is the first thing to do is to focus more on whole foods, all right? Focus more on balance, all right? Whatever that balance of a plate may look like to you, because even looking at a plate and trying to portion everything else is still not listening to your intuition, all right? Because you're focusing on a structure.
Interesting.
Yeah, focus on, it's just eating more whole foods, focus on more of what you're pulled to, and probably the biggest thing you can do is to slow down, all right? Slow down, be present at a meal, eat it, truly appreciate the food for what it is, which is all the vitamins and minerals, right? The love and the experience that you're having with it, and don't rush through it, all right? Take your time.
Wow, I love that. When things are fried and like processed, they're literally designed, like there's so many people that make millions of dollars to make you addicted to that food. Like,
Oh, for sure.
I just want to make it clear that people really like to go for processed foods because they can see they have a calorie label on there and it's just like so clear, like this is how much protein I'm getting. Whereas like an apple and whatever, these whole foods, our bodies truly are so much better able to feel our hunger and fullness and not be like, oh my god, I need to eat all of these apples right now. Like it's like not gonna happen. Versus like putting your hand in a bag of chips. It's just like, obviously that's gonna be difficult to practice your intuition and trust yourself around.
Definitely, 100%, and it's like, there's nothing wrong with eating fried food and chips and everything like that, because
Don't do it!
never ever, but even that, like, there's nothing wrong with it, but everything in moderation, right? You shouldn't have it because it's not good for your body, but if every now and then you feel drawn to it, because it is food and experience, you might be out with friends or something, then there's
so funny. I can't touch fried food with a 10-foot pole.
yeah,
man.
but that's just because your body's probably telling you it's no good for you,
Yeah,
right? So you're just like,
I
hey,
guess.
I don't need it, so I'm not going to eat it. But when you
Maybe
say,
I do.
I
I'll have
don't
a
need it because I
falafel.
can't have it because it's going to kill me,
True, yeah.
maybe that's the wrong idea.
Yeah, no, but it's truly like a choice. Like it doesn't even appeal to me. Like it's
100%.
crazy. It's almost like it's crazy how even with being vegan, it's like that's not even food. Like people eating animals, I'm like, that's like my friend over there.
yeah, I want to
It doesn't even
hang out with him.
It
like,
doesn't even
I'm not going to eat him. I'll invite him to dinner, not have him for dinner.
Yeah, I can't believe it like doesn't even, in my mind it doesn't even like, as far as it being an actual food, I'm like, that's not even food. But anyways, last thing I want to ask you, the 3 takeaways from here are, number 1 is to rewrite your nutritional scripts, which
Definitely.
you have your clients do. So everybody get out a piece of paper, write down what beliefs you have around what you're eating, about yourself, about everything in this life.
Cross that shit out and rewrite it in a more positive way.
Yeah, rewrite it in a more empowering way. I love that.
Like that,
So
yeah.
make sure to do that. And number 2, I know I do with my clients a lot of like writing a list of empowering ways to respond to stress and to respond to challenges in our life that do not involve food. Alright, so sure, food does have a place when it comes to handling our emotions, but it can become a problem if it's really leading to poor health and just not feeling good. So make sure to, after this, write down how it is that you visualize yourself responding in an empowering way and in a way that's really nourishing and exciting for you. And then the last thing that you said I loved was like the top tips for really how to trust yourself around food. And that includes eating whole foods and slowing down and
seeing what food for what it truly is, which is like the nourishment that it's going to give us.
Yeah, not focusing on our weight, not focusing on the numbers. We are not robots. We are incredible, always changing, you know, energy, sleep, movement, who knows what's going on that will allow us to want more or less food and different kinds of food.
Definitely.
So that was awesome. So go follow Ryan at, what is it? The Vegan
Wellness Coach.
I'll put a link down below, and I hope that you enjoyed this.
I hope you guys enjoyed this too. Nah, that's cool, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yay!